Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Genuine Chit Chat, the podcast where we're going to help you grow through what you go through. Today, I'm here with Jaron, the lovely man himself.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm ready to get into this episode.
Absolutely.
So, Jaron was a victim in an awful attack that happened in London while standing outside a bar with his boyfriend. Was it your boyfriend?
No.
No?
he was my friend.
His friend.
It's actually funny because a lot of the news reported him as my boyfriend. It was like, no,
Oh,
it's
no.
not my boyfriend. But yeah.
Okay, so take that back. Jaron was standing outside a bar in London with his friend where, he was a victim of an attack in an environment you wouldn't really think twice about going through that at all. So this episode, we're going to find out what happened to him, how he dealt with it, how we can speak about this and get the message out there to stop things like this happening. So, yeah, let's get into it. Welcome back, everyone, and welcome to episode 4. Thank you for joining me here on your episode.
Thank you.
So could you give us a bit of background knowledge on how you came out and when and how you felt going through that whole process?
Yeah. So I actually came out in 2018 and I was 22 years old.
Oh, wow.
But that's just coming out. I obviously knew I was gay since I think like 15, 16. So kept that secret to myself for a good few years.
That must have been hard knowing that.
Yeah.
And did you doubt yourself at times? You were like, is this just a phase? Is it going to wear off?
I think, do you know what it was? I think it was how other people would react rather than myself. How would my family feel? How would my friends feel? Would I be bullied? Would I be think less of? Because I kind of accepted it in myself. I found the same sex attractive, but it was just how would society make me feel?
Yeah, and how would you approach that situation?
Exactly. I actually came out to my friends first. We was in a nightclub in Kingston. I came out to my friend.
Did you have a few drinks? You're like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm actually going to say it. Come on, you can say it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I told one of my friends at the time, and she was very supportive. She was like, we kind of, we know,
Had a little
inkling already,
yeah.
it was no big secret to them. And then throughout the year, I got a bit more comfortable. And then towards the end of the year, I was starting to see someone. And my mum just was like, where are you going? Like, where, like, you're out all the time. Like,
a little bit mysterious.
Yeah. and basically, it took me like an hour to even say anything to her. She knew.
Yeah.
But
you were just scared to actually say it.
To say it.
Yeah.
And then the reaction and the love that she gave me after that was just really, really lovely. And really
I bet
nice.
you must have felt like you lifted such a weight off your shoulders, especially with that reaction she must have given you.
Yeah.
And it's sad that, like you said earlier, you were so scared about what other people were going to think rather than thinking about yourself, how you would feel.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know why we're all such people pleasers. We want to make sure everyone's view of us is better than our view on ourselves.
Yep.
So I bet you were finally happy when you got around to telling everyone.
Yeah, it was like a massive weight off my shoulders, honestly.
Yeah.
It was like, now, hindsight, it's been, 6 years. I can't even imagine going back into the closet, honestly.
Yeah.
It's just having those weight on my shoulders ever again, it would just be too much.
That's so good you got to that point where you were like, okay, I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for that nightclub in Kingston.
Yeah. Exactly. But my mum had to tell my dad. Like, I couldn't do it.
And
so
how did that go down?
he was really accepting, really loving, really open.
That's like the human brain. We like our worries. It's like we have 60,000, 70,000 thoughts a day.
Yeah.
And apparently, like, I don't know, a very high percentage of those is just overthinking, creating these fake scenarios in our head that this person's going to think this, they're going to think that of me.
Exactly.
They're absolutely not. Like, we're all creating these problems before they even happen.
Yeah.
And that's probably what you were doing before you came out.
Yeah.
And I bet when you then did come out, you were like, why on earth was I worrying for all this time?
Why didn't I come out sooner?
Yeah.
Why is I building this all up?
Yeah.
Like, it was just...
And it makes me sad that people still haven't come out because they are scared of what is going to happen.
Absolutely.
But I feel like it's good. I feel like recently there's more around coming out with social media and stuff. And there's more, even doing an episode like this, if someone was listening that hasn't come out, they can see your story and feel comfortable about actually coming out themselves.
100%. I think some of the issue is school. Even today. Like, I've got a young brother who's like 15 years old. And I always say to him, like, is there any gay kids that you see at school? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, are you making sure you're nice to him? Are you making sure he's welcome and stuff?
Yeah.
Because I think, I'm obviously mixed race as well. I actually felt I was in a predominantly white school as well, but I felt more worried about my sexuality than my skin color any day of the week.
Wow.
Yeah, because the thought of what the boys might think that there's a gay guy over there or something like that, it was it would have been awful.
Yeah. So, oh my God, bless you. That must have been so horrible to go through.
Yeah.
But I bet looking back at yourself now, you're like, thank God you did it. You finally did it.
Exactly.
That's so good though.
Yeah, definitely.
So obviously you're loving life now. You're feeling great, feeling comfortable.
Yeah.
But obviously I reckon this time a year ago wasn't.
Yeah. So
what you're feeling now.
Yeah. So about a year ago, I go out into Clapham. So Two Brewers is a predominantly gay bar in Clapham that a lot of gay people go to.
Yeah.
And so it was a Sunday night. My friend invited me to go over just to see some of the shows because they have shows on a Sunday. So I do, and then as one of my friends who was also there, he left about 10 o'clock, and we went out to the smoking area. I was inside the smoking area. There's just like a little fence that's just between us. And he was outside the smoking area, and we were just hugging, saying goodbye. And when I let go of him, like this, at literally the corner of my eye, someone hit me on my forehead.
Oh, was it right on your forehead?
Yeah, so top right of my head, and it took me a second to understand what actually happened. There was like loads of blood that was coming down on my head. Went on my jeans. One of my trainers didn't hit my white top somehow. I don't know.
That's lucky then.
Yeah. I just didn't understand, and then I just kind of like blacked out a little bit.
Really?
I went into sort of like self-defense mode.
Yeah, and I guess you're kind of just going into shock as well, like that coming out of nowhere. You don't actually realise what's happening.
I have no idea. And then I was doing like I was kicking him over the fence, basically, self-defense.
What, you were kicking the guy that done it to you?
Yeah. And because when the police told me the next day, they were like, "Oh yeah, you were defending yourself well."
Yeah.
But in that moment, I was going to go round, and because the fence was in the way, I was going to run around and go after him really. But then by the time I got to the door, the bouncers kind of like brought me in. Thankfully, because he had a knife in his hand, which I didn't realise was a knife either. By the way,
I guess it's just the shock of it. You couldn't see what he had. And you probably didn't feel it. It was just that feeling of pain, but you didn't know what caused it.
And it's weird because the pain, it didn't really hurt. I know it sounds really weird, but it didn't really hurt.
You hear a lot of people say this, so when they've been stabbed with something, I think it is that initial shock to the system where you don't actually realise your adrenaline is just so high. It's actually covering the pain. Yeah,
100%. I think that's what it was, to be honest. So I just thought it was like a bat or something. It was until the next day that the police were like, no, it was like a really big knife, and so I didn't really realise that.
So was it just kept on bleeding?
Yeah.
When it happened.
Yeah.
And what did your friend get hurt as well? Were they?
Yeah. So he stabbed me, and then in that meantime, when I was going to run around, I think he taxed my friend as well, and then my friend did the right thing and ran away.
Yeah.
And then the bouncers dragged me into the club and closed the doors, and he was trying to get in as well. And and then I think 20 seconds later he legged it. So
I can't even imagine how scared you must have felt inside during that moment when it happened, because I guess because you don't really know what's going on.
I have no
idea.
idea.
You said you either go into fight or flight mode, and obviously from what you're saying, you was like had that self-defense, wanting to attack back. Then also there must have been that point you just have no idea what's going on, especially being locked in the bar and him still trying to approach the bar. It must be one of those moments where you didn't feel like it was actually happening to you.
No, not at all.
So what happened after? Did you stay in there and then ambulance turned up?
So they took me into the back room and then they patched me up. They just put like a big plaster on my head because it was bleeding quite a bit. And then the ambulance came and then the police came as well. And then, went to the ambulance. No, excuse me. They patched me up. Then I walked outside and I saw my friend. He was sitting on a chair, bless him. And I just saw so much blood on his head. It was a awful sight to see.
Oh my God, I can imagine.
He was bleeding quite a lot.
What? So there's people outside with him, helping him.
Yeah,
and
helping
people
him.
Helping you.
Yeah.
And I bet it must have been horrible. Everyone probably just staring as well, like, what is going on?
What is happening?
And you must have felt so weird to be the actual centre of attention when everyone was like, what is happening over here?
Yeah, 100%.
Wow. So how did you actually feel in that moment when it happened, like looking back on it? Or do you feel like you don't really remember much of the feelings because it was so shocking and out of nowhere?
Out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I was just in disbelief that this has just
actually happened. Yeah.
Because you never realise, you always hear about knife crime and stuff like that in the news, but you never really think it's going to happen to you.
No, that's so true.
And when it happens to you, you still don't believe it's happened to you. But the police and the ambulance, they came really quite quickly. Within about 15, 20 minutes after I got attacked, and 5 minutes after I walked outside. So the response was really, really, really imminent.
Yeah.
So, which was great.
That's good. At least you're in that environment where you weren't just going to be left on your own. No. There was people there to look after you.
Yeah. And the bouncers as well. I have to, give a lot of credit to the bouncers at the Brewers.
Yeah, like you said, like they were stopping you from going back to attack him as well, and like shutting you in to keep you safe. That is really good. Yeah, that was really good. So what happened the next day? How did you must have woke up feeling like this can't actually be happening to me? Yeah.
Well, this is the thing. Like, I didn't really think it was a big deal because I was in the hospital about 3-4 in the morning, and I text my boss. I was like, "Hi, just to let you know, I've been attacked. I might be a bit late logging on." And
stop it! You were actually gonna log on anyway.
100%, 100%. Wow. The full intention of logging on for work. Because again, I just didn't.
Like, it didn't feel like it was actually happening.
No.
That's actually.
Yeah, and then she rings me up about 8:30 or 8:00 or whatever time it was. And she was like, what's happened? And I was like, I've been stabbed, basically. I've got stitches in. This is what happened last night. Someone has attacked me. Me and my friends.
She was in pure disbelief. She must have been so shocked.
She couldn't believe it.
And the fact you said you were going to log on late.
She was like, no, you effing not.
Absolutely not.
I will fire you if you log on. And if I see you're logged on Teams, I will, I won't be happy. So... yeah, and then I was like, okay. She was like, take today off, take the rest of the week off eventually. Yeah. Because you need to digest this.
Oh, 100%. Because when it first happens to you, I think it was probably your adrenaline still going, saying it's fine, I can just log back onto work. Yeah. I can get through the day. Exactly. But I think the more you leave it, you are still getting through it. Like, it'll be a long process to heal from what actually happened. So what was the rest of that week like?
So about 11 o'clock, I was just laying in bed, and my phone goes off, and it's, we all get those breaking news like Sky News or BBC News. It was like, breaking news, Sky News, 2 people stabbed outside of a club in Clapham. I was like, what? No way is this gone on to like Sky News. And then about 10 minutes later, BBC News reported it as well. Because I don't think it would have even made any headlines at all. I was not expecting it.
Because I think that's like you said earlier, when you hear about these things happening to other people, you would never think you were going to be in the headline news about something happening to you. You must have been so confused. Were you thinking like, oh, has it happened to someone else? Oh no, that was me. Honestly, that went through that.
Yeah, so I just didn't believe it. I think like a few reporters figured out that was me. And then because there was pictures released and stuff.
I was going to say, did they put pictures up?
Well, I didn't put anything up on my socials, so they weren't able to actually report it was me. But you could see me. My friend, he put an Instagram post up, so the press took that, and then they put his face on like 6 o'clock news and in the papers and stuff, and put his name out there.
Did they ask you, or did they just do it?
No, they just did it. They just did it to him. They didn't even ask him anything.
That's so bad. Because what if you didn't want that to be out there? For example, you were standing outside a bar, which you said is predominantly gay people in there. If you weren't out by that time, or you weren't comfortable with people around you saw you there, if the news is then getting released that you were attacked outside of a gay bar, that would be awful. Like that they've just gone into your privacy like that.
Because I think the reason is because social media is like public domain, so they just took that post they put and then they ran with it. So, but in one of the photos you can see me like the side of my head in the background. So I think a few people like worked it out, like a few family members, a few friends and stuff worked out and saw, oh my god, wait, we recognise that head.
So I guess it was hard. Like, what point do you actually tell your friends, your family? Like, were you going to tell them or?
No. Obviously, I lived with my friend at the time, and she was very lovely and very supportive. And then my other friend, who I actually live with now, she rings me up and she was like, "Oh, did you hear what happened in Two Brewers? You go there quite a lot, don't you?" And I was like, "Yeah, about that." It was me, and she couldn't believe it.
I bet she did not believe you at all.
No. And she got, it was quite upsetting.
Yeah, I bet.
And then
and I would guess it must have actually been hard for you to tell people because, like you said, you didn't believe it was actually happening to you. So that point where you're actually telling someone that you were the person in that story, that must have been quite hard.
Yeah, really was.
Especially your family as well.
That's the other thing as well. So I was living with my friend. She made me a really nice dinner. She went out and got me some steak and really mothered me up, really lovely. And then, was checking on me throughout the day and just making sure I'm okay. But I said to her, I was like, I don't think I can tell my family what's happened because I won't be allowed to leave the house ever again.
Yeah, of course. And I guess they would be worried if you were saying you were going on a night out like that again.
Yeah.
They'd be like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
And you don't want to feel like you can't. That situation, you're going to be made to feel like that because of someone else's act, because they done that to you.
Yeah.
Your family's now going to feel responsible of letting, not responsible, but are going to be worrying about you from doing the things you like doing because someone else attacked you.
Exactly. And I think I would probably feel the same as well.
Yeah.
If anything happened to my younger brother, if he got stabbed, I'd be like, you're not living in the house ever again.
Yeah.
Because it's just a source of safety. You just want to make sure they're right, isn't it? So, yeah, I was going to tell my mum, but as the evening went on, I was like, what if my photo got released and she found out through the newspaper or breaking news or something?
You'd rather it come from yourself than her seeing it, because I think that would lead to such a bad outcome if she found out that you went through it and didn't tell her.
Exactly. So I rang her up about 6 or 7 o'clock at night.
That must have been so scary, actually ringing her thinking, how am I going to say this?
How am I going to say it? So I went round and then I was wearing a hat because obviously I had stitches in my head. So I didn't want her to open the door and see what the hell is that in your head. Yeah. I was like, look, this has happened. Took my hat off and then she was just like, oh my God. She just couldn't believe it. Oh, and then we got my nan on the phone and then we got my auntie on the phone. My nan actually got really upset, bless her, because we've all been like, have you seen the news today?
Yeah.
It's Jaron. It happened to him, basically. So, yeah, everyone was just, really upset.
Yeah. They just couldn't believe it was actually you that was on that news.
Yeah.
That must have been so hard for them to deal with.
Yeah.
But I guess in a way, you telling them, that means the support system around you when you're going through it must have been so much better than if you didn't have that support. Did the person that do it ever get caught?
Well, they arrested someone. They arrested a 19-year-old, but not charged because we were told a few months ago there's not enough evidence, basically. Because after the attack, they don't know where he went. They can't put the picture together of where he left, and they never found the weapon. And even though there were even though we was in the smoking area, there was 2 witnesses at the end of the smoking area.
Yeah.
They were obviously under the influence of drink.
Yes,
so they're not reliable. They're not reliable. So, and they didn't really see him anyway because he was covered up. So all you could see was his eyes. So obviously you can't really describe someone like that. I wouldn't even know what he looked like.
Yeah, no, of course not. Because I feel like that just flashes before your eyes when it's happening. You actually don't know what's going on in front of you.
No idea. So they obviously knew. They could picture how he got there. They knew he got the bus there. I think he lived in Norbury Junction or something like that. And then he was walking up and down the high street for about a good half an hour before he even did it, because they got the McDonald's CCTV and they got other little shops and stuff like that. They were using their CCTV to understand how he got there and what he was doing. So yeah, they can get. But then when he got on the bus, he didn't tap on the bus. Because obviously,
so they can't trace who it was.
Yeah. How you get on a bus now is have you used Apple Pay or something?
Yeah, they'd be able to track it.
Yeah, so he didn't tap on.
So it kind of sounds like a planned thing.
100%.
Do you reckon it was definitely provoked by hate? It was definitely a hateful act.
Yeah, you think that there's so many other bars down there.
Yeah, why did it have to be?
Why did it happen there?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the reason.
Because there is a rising rate in hate crimes towards the LGBT plus community. I think I saw a stat from 2022 to 23. There's about 17,000 attacks or crimes that was based around sexuality and things like that. And then that was a whole 17% of all hate crimes in the UK.
Yeah.
And I think from 2024, it's still rising, which is just so sad to see, obviously. And I think that's why there needs to be more conversations like this about awareness, so people can see the people that have actually been affected. Because I think a lot of the crimes that happen to people like yourself, they're too scared to come out about it.
Yeah.
Like you said, you didn't want to tell anyone because you don't want the effects of everyone then rushing towards you or you feeling awkward in certain situations.
Yeah. Like I've had a few people that have come up to me and said something, not knife crime, but something like rape has happened to them, and they've not wanted to go to the police about it because they don't want to go through all that kind of experience. They've just let the person get away with it.
Yeah.
You know, so it's awful how much like what you just said, that's the reported stats. God knows what's the unreported.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that is the only reported ones. There must be so many that has never been reported.
100%.
Do you reckon if it was an environment that there wasn't many people around, you'd personally report it to the police yourself?
I don't think so.
Really? Why is that?
I'm one of those people that don't like fuss. Like I like sort of like a calm environment. Don't like causing too much stir. Yeah. And stuff like that. Yeah. So I don't think I would. But even though I should, I don't think.
You're just worried about what would happen if you did tell the story. Yeah. Oh, it's good that you did, because obviously it's making people more aware. Yeah.
Going back to, you know, my young brother who's in school, the reason why I want him to make sure that when there are gay people in schools, that they do make you feel welcome and they are accepted, because there isn't anything wrong with them. And you are made to feel that there is something wrong with you, but there isn't.
It's because you're different to what's classed as normal.
Exactly.
And that's why. And I don't know if schools have changed now, but back at school there was literally no speak about that community at all.
Not at all.
Not at all. No. So I can get why people going through that age in life feel so awkward and worried to come out, because everyone around them isn't really speaking about it.
Exactly.
And they don't want to be the odd one out.
Exactly.
And is there sort of advice, because obviously some people listening to this who may be wanting to come out but they don't know what to do it, how to do it, is there any sort of advice you could give them on how to just
there's no shame yourself? You know, don't be ashamed of yourself. Just embrace who you are. A massive weight will be lifted off your shoulder. The fact that, you know, you're living a secret every single day and you're carrying that, when that secret is released, it feels a million times better.
It's that initial step, it's that first step that I bet is the most scariest one.
Yeah. The world isn't like it was 20 years ago or 10 years ago. I feel like, you know, if you think about it, it was only until 2014, I think it was, in the UK, that gay people can get married. 2014
was that's actually wild. And to think there's still countries where that's not allowed illegal. At all.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you think how much progress
it's come from then. From here onwards, it's only going to get better.
It's only going to get better.
Yeah.
So I think just understand that if you did come out, then there wouldn't be much stigma. You'll be free.
Yeah, that feeling of being free.
Yeah.
And I think, like you said before, you're so worried about what other people are going to think around you. Yeah. They're never going to think those initial thoughts you think they're going to have of you.
Exactly.
And also, is there any sort of ways that people that aren't so aware of the community could be more supportive towards you?
Good question. When it comes to communicate, like, come to our community, I think maybe there's sometimes a wrong impression of if it's a gay bar or if it's Pride, that maybe straight people shouldn't go to it. No, like, come, because then you can see our community and how welcoming and how warm it is. It's just the community there for us to be accepted.
Yeah.
And, you know, come to London Pride or whatever Pride, be a really good ally of us. So I really urge people to definitely go into like London Prides or to gay bars or stuff, because it's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, that is really one of my favourite nights out. Me and my friend go out with her brother and his boyfriend to Soho. Went to the big GAY bar. Honestly, you just make so many friends. Went to heaven after. I can honestly say that was one of my best nights out in London. Like, everyone around you is just so happy.
Yep.
And I feel like when you go to a bar where the community probably isn't as gay, everyone's sort of more judgmental of people trying to have their stance on everyone.
Yep.
Whereas gay bars, you just feel so welcomed by everyone around you. You just feel so happy.
Exactly.
Like, even I remember in heaven when using queue for toilets, you accidentally push in another bar. They'd be like, "Sorry, like I'm in the queue." They'd be like, "Oh my god, it's fine. Just carry on."
It's all right, love.
Oh, thanks. I love it. And did you go to Brighton Pride this year?
No, we were going to, but me and the girls, as I say, male gay friends. Me and the girls, we went to London Pride, and we're going to Manchester Pride. They're really, really fun. Really, really good time, and
it's just like you said, like a nice welcoming environment.
Really, really nice welcoming environment. There's just the streets are packed, and it just makes you feel really good because you just got like a lot of support. Vibe. Yeah, it's really, really good.
Yeah, no, I completely get that. And how? So a year after all of this has happened, how are you actually feeling now?
I feel good in terms of like speaking about it and like it happening, but I still don't really feel like it happened. It's really, really weird. It's kind of like a massive moment in my life, and I don't really think I realised that it was. You know, the fact that I almost died.
Yeah.
And I don't think I even realised that.
Like the fact it was aimed at your head as well.
Aimed at my head. If it went in deeper, it could have hit my brain, or if it went further down, I could have lost an eyeball. Or or my nose cut off, or whatever more damage it could have been.
Wow.
It could have been so much worse than it actually. Like, I'm glad it wasn't.
Yeah, of course.
But it could have easily been a lot more fatal, a lot more serious than it actually was.
Wow, you're so lucky it went. I mean, not even.
No, 100%.
You are so lucky it went through it, but
yeah,
the fact you actually had to go through it is awful. And honestly, you should look back on yourself how strong you were, because the fact you've got through this all. And you weren't going to tell people, and you ended up telling people, and you're now here on a podcast speaking about it. You should be so proud of yourself that you've carried yourself through this. Because you're going to be such a role model to other people watching this. Certain people that may not have been... You don't need to try. You're doing it. You're doing it. But even certain people that have not necessarily been in an attack like stabbing, but that have been made to feel really bad because they're gay, because they're part of the LGBT community, in any sense that they've felt like they're being attacked, not necessarily by weapons. Of like what you're saying now, how you were physically attacked will make them feel good about whatever they're going through.
100%.
And this is why we just need more people like you.
Yeah.
The world will be a lot happier place if there's more people like you, Jaron.
We try, darling, we try.
So, is there any sort of task you want to give any listeners this week to make them feel good about themselves?
Yeah, I think so. What I was saying earlier about how it could have been so much more serious, I think just tell your family you love them. Like, if it happened to, let's say, someone else in my family and they died because of a knife incident, like, to do anything to tell them that, you know, how much you care about them and how much you love them. You can do that today. I can do that today. And I don't think we take it for granted that we can do it every day.
Yeah, like, you do. It's like you don't realise what you've got until it's gone.
Exactly.
Literally.
You know, you don't realise that you could tell your mum or your nan or your aunt or your brother or your sister or your friends that you love them.
Yeah.
And you do, because you carry it with you every day.
Yeah, but you don't realise you need to.
But you don't realise that you need to, you don't need to say it every day, but you can say it every day. And why not?
Yeah.
You know? And I think that's definitely what I would say. Just tell your friends and your family that you love them.
That's such a good one. So anyone listening right now, slide this up. Go on your text messages
100%.
and just tell someone you love them.
Yeah.
And what you're grateful for about them, because that's such a lovely thing to do.
Because you never know when your last day is.
No, you don't.
You never know when your friends and family last day are. So you might as well just you need to utilise that time that you have with each other when you can.
Yeah.
And I think that's
such an amazing task. Because
yeah.
Also, if you're the receiver of that text, you'd feel so good about yourself.
Great. Exactly.
You would. Yeah.
You know, so
that's so good.
We all need more love in this world.
Oh,
so.
We're all here for spreading the love.
Exactly.
Honestly, and we definitely are. Have you got a good song request to queue up on after this podcast?
I do.
You do? Go on.
So
tell us.
I am the biggest Mariah Carey fan you would ever see.
Don't get me started on. I bloody love that woman.
She's fabulous, darling, fabulous. So I was going to say a deep cut, but I think I'm going to do like a really happy song that everyone knows.
Go on.
I was going to say Listen to Fantasy by Mariah Carey.
Classic.
She brings me so much joy and happiness into my life. So
I bet you're excited Christmas is nearly coming up.
Of course, that's when she makes her millions, you know. So of course, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I love that. What a great recommendation. I'm going to listen to that after this. How does it go again?
Oh, when you walk by every night talking sweet and watch the Rush Hour film if you've ever seen Rush Hour. The little the Asian girl sings it in the car before she gets taken.
When you walk by every night
talking sweet and looking fine. You're kind of hectic inside.
time. Love that. I love that.
Absolutely. So,
well, honestly, Jaron, thank you so much for coming on to this episode.
Thank you for having me.
You are such an inspiration. You're so strong. Thanks. I know you feel like it hasn't happened to you, but I think everyone around you sort of feels that more because they're like, wow, that's actually happened to him and you got through it so well. You should be so grateful of your own mind and how you got through it, and you're so strong. And thank you for coming on to this and inspiring others.
Thank you for having me. And yes, I look forward to this being on the air. And if anyone wants to contact me, then please do, because that's the other thing as well. Like, please, like, there was so much outreach from the community to me.
Yeah.
So if there's anything I can do to repay that, then if anyone wants to speak about anything, please, like, reach out, and I'm more than happy to help others as well.
Oh, what a lovely guy. Round of applause to him. But yeah, thank you everyone for listening, and we will catch you next time. Bye.